Live. Okay, boom. We are live, episode 304 with Arthur and Fiona. Again, bonjour. Comment ça va? How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Waking up.
Waking up. Me, it's late at night. You, it's early in the day. We're gonna go on today again with our duality, the cult of oops. And as I started talking to you just a few minutes ago, I said, Arthur, it's weird that they gave us extremely big numbers, sometime for the Earth distance on Earth, stuff like that, and coronavirus, extremely small number and this and that. But then after said, Yannick, why not just drop this and stop being entertained? And that's true because all we do is being entertained by their madness, their circus, their dark stuff, and we just talk about it. We know that the whole Babylon circus is all dark stuff. It's all stuff to entertain the sheeple, the muggles, whatever you call the beings of this world that are totally unaware of what's going on Earth, of what's going on in every day. No? So how everything function in this world and everything. So I think, like you said, it's very important to really be focused on our dream, the dream of life, like what we should be working on, not just personally, but collectively, all together. We should all be putting the shoulder to the wheel for the dream of life, which is what is intended pretty much for us to live here and not be entertained so much by the dark stuff of Babylon. So maybe you can extend on it, Arthur and Fiona, whoever wants to go first.
We need very simple tools to be able to journey our way back out. Not journey as in we're heading to a destination of freedom, because that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as freedom or consciousness or anything of reality as a destination. It's already here. We already are it. We're just asleep. And that's what I said before about waking up. We're still waking up. And so the way I've been looking at it for the last 15 years and helping people, as I'm helping this man, is that you look at it as, when we talk about duality, we're talking about two dreams. Let's just look at this as just two dreams, or just two reality, two worlds. And the world of the system carries all the entertainment that, even it's the tiniest little things of the system, it links us into the whole of the system, and we're trapped in it. So we have to just be able to discern, and as Fiona's talked about in other videos, you got to use scrutiny. You got to look at every single thought in your head that's a dream, because they're all dreams, all sorts of dreams, and see where does it tie you into. Because if you can see that dream as from a bigger picture, like you're an eagle looking over the horizon of life itself. If you can see your head is spinning with all these things like like you talk about the mask wearing the coronavirus, does that entertainment, thinking about all that information, does that link us in and tie us into the system, or does it take us into freedom and our true consciousness and our true life as part of nature? Now, obviously, it's not part of the second one, because it's just not possible, right? Because you don't learn about masks and all this stuff in nature if you're brought up by nature. So you've got to get it really simple that way. So anything of the system that is entertaining us, right, will bind us to everything of the system that we are reacting to, that we are not happy about, or will have some complaint about somewhere along the way, because it's affecting our own private lives. Because something about our private lives is being disturbed at the local level by allowing the system into it. And the only way that happens is because we've accepted that thinking process, that social engineering into our life. So it's that black we drop into the pure white that we're still allowing to circulate into our real lives. And that confusion is why we will continue going to protests and rallies and all these other things we do, and asking others to fix this problem for us, when really each of us are the only ones who can fix it. Because we're really talking about soullessness, or having a soul, about eternal life or death. So now when I'm talking about fantasy and reality, because fantasy is deaf to life, deaf to reality, deaf to who you really are. And if you let yourself go that far asleep, which is what happens in the system, there's nothing to move on with. When the carcass of your life, when the vessel is buried, there's nothing moving on because it's all gone. It's just an apparition of fantasy in that vessel that has just wasted its whole life for nothing. So this is what it's all about. It's not about rallying all together for freedom or rallying all together for peace or getting rid of the government, all this stuff. It's simply, do you want to have eternal life or do you want to have eternal death? Which way do you want to go? And that choice, which is what it's become, being raised in the system. If we're brought up in nature, that will not be a choice. It's something. It's eternal already. You don't have to even be challenged by, do you want to live or do you want to die? None of that would be going on because we're not infected by fantasy in our thinking, in our dreaming, and feeding it. So you've got to look at two dreams. If you're brought up by nature, the sensorama of nature, the inspirations, is the good heart. Now that's one dream if you want to look at it as an analogy. And all those virtues of the good heart, all the inspirations of the good heart, the compassion, the nurturing, the truth, the honesty, the confrontation, because confrontation is a virtue of the good heart too. Not as in violence, not as in vigilante, but more as in, get rid of the lie and just remove it and with willpower. So there are many, many qualities of those virtues. This is what nurtures who we really are. And in that is our eternal life, because they're dreams we are creating through our senses. So bring it all back to, what are you dreaming for? And have a look at what is entertaining us. What is entertaining you? Because coronavirus is the system. You accept the system and the entertainment of coronavirus with all its emotions, all that nurturing of confusion, doubt, uncertainty, distrust, fear, right? Isolation, separation. There are many, many emotions that are of the dark side, of the system itself. And these are not our dreams. So if we are reacting to, like, coronavirus wearing masks, we're actually nurturing the dark side. The dark side being who we are not. The life that is not our dream that we have created, that we are living for. So we need to get back to the light as an analogy, light and dark, but not trapped in duality. The light is the senses we experience that inspires the dreams of our good heart, is where we should be directing all our life energy into. And that entertainment is a natural entertainment because it is the dreams that we have each created uniquely, and it supports and nurtures the dream of life, which is our life. But it's not a self-obsession. It's not self-centered. It's not my life. It's not, because we don't own life. Nobody owns it. It's just, it already is. We are. It's like I said, if you take a kid to a tree, do you have to explain the tree to the child before the child can experience the tree? Right? Obviously not, because the child already has senses and can experience everything of the tree uniquely. And the child's relationship with the tree through the senses is something that will always be unique to the child. So why should we interfere and break that relationship by bringing us in between, and we become middlemen, to putting things in the child's head, which becomes the system, but brings in the dark side, because these are not the child's dream. So you already got access to everything of the truth. You already got it. But have you got the ability to discern? Have you got the ability to slow down and use scrutiny? Have you got the ability to examine?
Willpower.
Have you got willpower to examine what you are thinking? What are you dreaming? Are you emotionally reacting? Right? Because the dark side, which is all the destructive emotions, right? We were talking about, jealousy, anger, rage, loneliness, emptiness, suicidal tendencies, covetousness, anger, did I say anger, rage, emptiness, loneliness, doubt, uncertainty, confusion, distrust, fantasy, illusion, delusion. All these things are of the dark side. And they are just dreams we entertain. And while we entertain them, we're actually nurturing the dark side and expanding it. And as we are not conscious of that, we are worshipping the dark side. We are worshipping the Dark Lord. We are worshipping, whatever image you want to use in here to embody the dark side.
Well, it's death. We're nurturing
It's just
death. Really.
Exactly. It's anti-life. And that's what Christ and anti-Christ is. It's life and anti-life. That's all it is. Really, it's all about life or not having life. And that means, do you want to create dreams that are unique to you, that are intimate and private with each of us, with life itself? And if we do that, we are letting go of the dark side, which means we're letting go of land title deeds. We're letting go of land ownership. We're letting go of ownership of money. We're letting go because we're actually letting go of uncertainty. We're letting go of distrust. We're letting go of doubt. We're letting go of fear of tomorrow, the uncertainty of tomorrow. We're no longer clinging to the fantasy of these things. And we're learning to be present in the eternal presence of life that we are. That's not an arrival to some destination that we've been journeying on. It was already there. We were just distracted with so much confusion coming at us. And that's all it is. So when we talk about kingdom without the G, when we talk about kin and us, it's all about many of us working together, not in need that we are in fear and we are desperate that we need each other to be something more powerful. We already are powerful. Each of us is powerful. And what we bring to the table for each other already is powerful if we do not bring the emotions to nurture amongst us and between us. So this is what it's about. Can you slow everything down while you work hard, while we use our wits, while we use our cunning and guile to navigate out of this nightmare of the dark side, and don't bring it with us into the dreams we are creating here and now? This is all that matters. And if we do that, we will notice, because we can sense the dark side being nurtured in and of us and all around us. And this is the true meaning of being in their world, but not of their world. We are in the dark side, but we are not of the dark side. We are not driven, those of us who truly wake up, we are not driven to a destination, an arrival of freedom and consciousness. Because nobody owns it. It's not a location. There's nowhere to go to it that where somewhere else where it wasn't. It's just a fantasy, the illusion, delusion of this confusion and distractions done to us, raised in the system, that made us think in terms of time and space, which is the dark side. Time and space is the dark side. It has nothing to do, because there is no time and there is no space that way. It already is. We already are, if we allow to be. So you can read 1,000 books. You can go to all the greatest philosophers and scientists ever. You can go and mix with the most amazing brains. You can dive into the greatest recorded history of all this stuff, of the most amazing people. Right? But will that bring you to who you truly are? And obviously, no, it won't, because they're not your dreams. And all those who have been doing that, diving into ancient his story, her story, to think about who we are and access who we truly are, we end up in the dark place, because none of this are our dreams, and none of this stuff has set anyone free. Because you look through all the ancient history of all the amazing things that have come and gone, through all the generations of all the good men and women who love their kids and love their families collectively across Earth, right? And everyone promoting the progress of civilization with all this amazing stuff. Look at this mess. Just look at this mess, because we do not see the dark side that we are nurturing all the time. We are caught up in celebrating the fireworks in New Year's Eve over Sydney Harbour Bridge, or we're celebrating the Sydney Olympic Games in the year 2000, or the next Olympic Games, or the World Cup in soccer, or the grand final in rugby league, or the whatever, or the first and last, the rich and the poor, the left and the right. And you get caught up in this stuff, you're in the dark side, because you don't know who you are. You're still uncertain. The doubt still plays out, and you're still nurturing and feeding it. So when you are waking up, you have to be able to see the dark side on offer in the relations of those who come into your life. and be able to confront and point out the dark side. And if those people can't handle it and they run, let them. Because you can't save anybody from this. Each one of us are the only ones who can fix it. There's no one else to go to fix it.
It takes a huge effort to really, like, when you say wake up or be aware or awake or something, or be present, fully present, takes a huge effort, because the weight of entertainment is so heavy on us that even when we tend to seek truth or reality, we are more going into the dark side, which is the entertainment. Like I was doing with you at the beginning, and you said, no, stop. That's Babylon stuff. So, the entertainment, we want to be entertained. Like, even in seeking truth and reality, you want to be entertained deep down inside you, not voluntarily. You don't say to yourself, I want to be entertained today, because entertainment is going to taint your mind. So
exactly,
you don't want to go into this, but like, I don't know. It's like natural for us to be entertained, so we fall in the pit of entertainment very, very easily. So how
because
do we
been doing it
from happening?
We've been doing it since we were babies. Yeah. We've been so busy in the big project of being entertained, we don't know how else to be. Yet that's all we've been practicing. We have spent all our lives raised in the system, waking up, going to bed, and even in our rest, entertaining the dark side, because it is doubt and uncertainty, confusion, distrust, and fear, and all these other emotions. That is what we've been nurturing, because that is what's behind money, mortgage, lease, contracts, commerce in the system, ownership, every facet of the system, including achieving courses and careers and titles. It comes out of doubt and uncertainty. It doesn't come out of the presence of eternal life that you are. We don't need to be the kid taken to the tree to be told what reality is before we could even experience it, because we're in the dark side when that happens. We don't need to be entertained by David Icke and Max Icke and tens of thousands of other false people out there promoting the constructs and concepts of freedom and consciousness and the truth, and not because it's a lie. There is no truth that way. There is no consciousness that way, no freedom, because that's all of the dark side, because they're not your dreams. You are not living those dreams. You're not creating and living it. And if you are living it, there is not another man in your life that you need for you to have it. That's the trick, because when you need another man to have it, you're in the dark side. You're in the doubt, the uncertainty, in the confusion, in the distrust. When you wake up, you do not need another man for anything that way. But when you're inspired to co-create and share the virtues, the good heart, you can be the sun that shines without giving up who you are, and create freedom and truth as that life, being that life, and share that abundance of freedom, abundance of consciousness, abundance of truth. But it's undefined. It doesn't need a child to come and learn from the wisdom of a man being it. The child is just exposed to the sensorama of it, and the child works its own dreams and does it itself uniquely. There's no instruction manual for the child that way. The same with the child being brought up by the tree. The tree doesn't provide an instruction manual to the child. So now, a child, I want you to sit down at the table desk with a pencil, and I'm going to give you lessons so you can learn about me. And then you have to remember them all, and over years of history of this entertainment, grow up and know about the tree. None of this shit happens, man. It doesn't go on like that, because they're not concepts. They're not constructs. They're not modeling something that's fashioned by another man. So you've got to realize that when you get sucked into someone like David Icke, who talks about the truth and the greatest thing and all that, he brings the whole of the system with him, because his allegiance is to the system. His allegiance not to break away from the system, because his loyalty is to the men and women who get all the power and control of everyone, who are confused about what freedom and consciousness is. And they keep giving their lives over to others, because that uncertainty is the dominant power, that doubt is the dominant power, that confusion, that fear is the dominant power. So they need a federation of brothers and sisters to protect them. So we don't have this chaos and war and all this going on around it. But all that is the dark side. And all the time you're caught up in it, you're in the dark side. You are not actually creating your true life. You don't have one yet. And this is And this is, now I'm not saying that David is malevolently doing it down to the core of his essence, because maybe David is just so damn confused he doesn't know who he is anymore. Because if he does know it, that makes him seriously nefarious and nasty and malevolent. So if David's going to promote the truth, then we're talking about freeing up man from the land, freeing up man from land title deeds and governments and systems. So, and freeing up having anyone around us, so we don't need a pax romanus, meaning we don't need other men and women around us to provide order to our lives, because that is the dark side. That's chaos. If you wake up, you do not need anything of the system. Nothing. No system. No man-made system. Because that's where our ancestors were before these people arrived with their UFOs onto these lands. With all their gobbledygook bullshit in their books. Because everything was predetermined on their books of time and space constructs over 1,000 years of a golden age of the Jesus coming with the new one world system and all this. This was all planned and engineered to bring us all together as one. That's the dark side. There's no one. The one is not part of the truth. There's no one. Everything is synergistic. The total is greater than individual parts. Everything is whole. But don't listen to the words of this man or this woman. Sense our intentions. We have to unplug. Walk away. Walk away from the entertainment of Babylon. Walk away from the system. Walk away from all these things. If you think you still need money, you need the system to protect what you claim that you own, which means you are still living in doubt and uncertainty, and that is your God, and you're still nurturing that dark side. If you think you still need something to glorify who you are, you're in the dark side. You're nurturing. If you believe you have the greatest truth and for the afterlife and propel, you're a bloody liar. And that is the dark side, because that's the ego. Because that is not another man's dream. That's just sucking another man into your dream so you can entertain the power of your glory with another man, so you can be enshrined as something greater than another man. And this is all goes back to the occults and goes right back into mysticism, where all this shit started way back. You know, when someone came along as playing music, entertaining kids, and the kids loved it, and from that it turned into something more, because the man wanted more glory, more attention, felt he was more important, which meant his uncertainty and doubt about who he was, what he was nurturing the dark side of his ego, because that's the ego only comes out of the dark side. So our character, the man, we're either nurturing the dark side, which is one kind of dream, which we don't want, or we nurture the virtues of the good heart, which is the real dream, who we are, where our soul is, the one that we create and nurture, and that's undefined. Where the system is defined, the true soul is undefined. So no man can lead you to freedom. No man can lead you to consciousness. No man can lead you to peace and calm and all that, because it's a bloody lie if you accept that, because it's not your dream. And that's defining everything. And they become the constructs and concepts of the Pied Pipers playing their flutes that suck all the rats to follow them along on their freedom path, the journey path, the afterlife path, the Tibetan Buddhism, you know, the Christianity with the Savior and the Messiah. All these are of the occults, because it plays on your doubt, your uncertainty, your fear, your distrust, your confusion, right? And they are just distractions, because the men and women did not recognize the sacredness of the life of the man that you really are as you appeared in the womb. They desecrated you, because they were desecrated too. And that's the hard work we practice growing up. We are so busy practicing being fallen, being lost, being dead. So it's simple. You want life? Walk away from all of this. Walk away from what's in here. Work with nature. Recreate food forests, right? And recreate lives living amongst food forests and valleys and plains and all the best bits for everyone to enjoy. Nobody owns all the best bits of anything. Let's go back and reclaim the worst of everything that we've destroyed during our dead states and fallen states for our ancestors, and bring all that paradise back into these places. That's what we should be busy waking up and going to bed every day, just busy creating life and sharing them, giving it to others to enjoy it, as our ancestors before the fall were doing for all of us. At the moment, we are waking up and going to bed, enshrining the dark side and creating mediocrity, and we give that inheritance to our kids to carry on that mediocrity, and with it all the horribleness that comes with that mediocrity. And we call it the progress of civilization. We call it the apex of what a man is. And we sit there, we need politicians in our head, we need lawyers and judges in our head, because that uncertainty is so powerful that we need another man in our lives to give us order. If you can't see this, if you cannot get your head around this and realize what's been done to you and the trickery of these people, everything we talk about is for nothing. It's for nothing. Nothing.
It's sometimes very hard to recognize the trick that is being played on us, and it can take a lifetime for a being just to liberate themselves from all this dark stuff. So how is it supposed to happen, like on a long time period, that awakening, or we should be like in a more decent world, we should be taught that stuff at the beginning, so we don't end up passing our whole life searching for truth and meaning of life and this and that, and still after thousands and thousands of years asking ourselves who we are. Why is that question, Fiona, why is that question always come back, like who we really are? Like no one has a clue of who we are after all those thousands of years. Like we are
not given the chance as children to find out who we are, just as Arthur's been saying, by being able to form our own dreams in relationship with the sensations and experiences we have with nature. So we come in to this system from parents who do not know who they are, and they have formed already the habits of listening to what's been put in their head, the habits of distrust, the habits of fear, the habits of doubt, the habits of uncertainty. And children are like sponges. They absorb everything. So we grow up with the same thing. And most people, when it comes to this stuff, are actually very lazy. It is hard work to change the patterns of your thinking. It is very hard work, but it can be done. It's just willpower and keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. How fast you manage to change those patterns is entirely up to the amount of willpower you're prepared to put in to keep catching yourself and catching yourself and catching yourself and going, no, I'm not going to think like that, because I realize what it is. I realize where it's taking me and where I end up, and it's not where I want to end up.
But you've got to watch out for the self-obsession of that as well, because we get caught up entertaining ourselves about who we are and what our dreams are, and we start looking all that too much. We're actually still in the uncertainty and the confusion, because even the identity of who we think we are is part of the dark side. And we're actually worshipping the dark side by entertaining all these constructs and concepts in our head. It is better to create dreams that get us outside of that, where we're busy creating life and working with life. Anything that has the pulse of life, which we do not harm, but we nurture it to expand it and to restore any corruption we've done to life. So whether it is nature in the forest, whether it is in animals and creatures, whether it's in animal sanctuaries, which we can release them back, strong and vigorous because of what we've done with the system, anything that cuts down roadkill, anything which we can use of roadkill to help to nurture the food forest, anything, building sustainable homes. But we've got to do it not from ownership, not from what's in it for me, not who am I, what am I? Because see, even though I talk about, these two different dreams, you've got to recognize them. Unless you're creating a living dream, you're not living it. You're not walking into a dream that you're creating. It's not going to be there, because all that's going to happen is the illusion of what we think is our real dreams, where our freedom and our consciousness and all these things are playing out, is actually the dark side that we're nurturing, where the confusion and the distraction is still operating, because all that self-obsession is of the dark side, is of the ego, is of that fake persona, because that's not who we are. Because see, the person, the ego is the illusion on a journey going somewhere, where the real man is not on a journey, because we already are. We're God. It's already here. So it's a matter of letting go and sacrificing. So when Fiona's talking about using scrutiny and doing that, you've got to be vigilant to say, okay, I'm aware now that there's so many thoughts in my head, that are not mine. Okay, I now need to be creating living dreams that I'm aware of these things, but I'm not going to serve these dreams. I'm not going to go and work for money anymore, because that serves the dark side, because it means I'm still uncertain about my life. I'm worried about the power of others around us who are going to deny food, water, shelter to me, and land, and for me and my family. And that kind of manipulation in this Pax Romanus is lethal. And that's why it's international now, this food, water, shelter agenda controlling. And that's only why we got coronavirus now, because it's only until they brought it all about with a one world internet that they could bring about a one world crisis with a one world catastrophe, with all that, and then bring a one world remedy and manipulate us through social engineering to a one world thing that benefits this agenda. You don't want to get sucked into all of that. So you've got to bring it back to who you really are. Is okay, I'll be part of it. Like we talk about Kingdom creating small groups. We don't create a group because we need each other that way to cling. We do it because we want to work with the resources of each other, use the system resources to expand the dream. And when we pass away, we bury our bodies on those lands or those dreams to pass it on to the kids so they can know the truth of who they really are without them being guided by government, by the rule of law, by religion, by any other man coming in between them and life itself and manipulating them, right? So we've got to break this down. So this is not a revolution of we need the David Icks and the Max Icons and the Arthur Christians and the Fiona Christians and all that, and trying to inspire people to the truth. It's not about any of this, because that's all part of the crap. It's all part of the problem. It is a intimate, I don't like using the word personal, but it's a private, personal choice. You have been compromised. Do you want eternal life? If you want eternal life, then you are life, creating life, busy in that dream of life where there is no land title deeds. There's no money in it. There's no rewards of notice. We don't need certificates and plaques. We don't need to set up monuments and statues for the descendants to come to remember these people, because that's all bullshit. The true memory is in life itself, and the freedom of the child breathing with not a single thought in the child's head that's defined to the child. That is our greatest legacy we can pass on. And we are that, because that consciousness that's undefined is in everything of life. It's in everything, and that's where we are. And that's who we are. And that's the celestial bodies shining all the ancestors who are that life, holding the dream of life, right? And this is, we got to get it back to the basics. Be aware of the system. Be aware of the malevolence of the system and all the subtlety and guise and cunningness that comes where we get tricked and tricked and tricked into nurturing the dark side. So remember, when you're behind money, you're nurturing the dark side. However, if you wake up and you are clear about it, you can use the system as a sacrifice to generate the fictional dollars. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and the rest direct it, cashless or not, into the dream you're holding, that you're living for, which is not for your glory. It's for the greater glory of all of life. And do that. And if you do that, you won't be looking for the best locations to build your family home. You'll be looking for the worst locations, with everybody else looking for the worst locations, because all the best of everything, we want to leave it pristine. And anything that has a vantage spot, we're going to take it down. If this house is built on it, if there's anything lancated and barricaded, we're going to remove it all, so that we and all the tribes and all the of the generation can enjoy the magnificence of life and not be landlocked, through embargoes and all these other things we talked about in other videos, right?
I would say box, Doc. We're all living in boxes.
Yeah. But I'm sure so many of us have had moments. I've certainly had them, like you're working in the garden or something, and you get so focused and caught up in what you're doing that you do forget you, which is really forgetting all the voices in your head for a while. And you have that moment of lucidity when you're just totally part of what you're doing, totally engaged with all of life that you're working with. And you have actually forgotten the me, the I, the ego. Now that is actually that is glimpses of our true consciousness, when we're just totally in tune with everything of nature around us, and we have forgotten that self, that ego. So anyone who's had those sort of moments, which have been many people, or you're just out in nature and you get totally caught up in the wonder of it all, that you become it and you forget about you. That is really what I imagine, that when you're fully conscious, that's all the time. The me, the I, the self isn't there. You're just focused outwards on everything of life around you. So I think many of us have experienced that at some time or another. It's not some, people tend to, consciousness, it's going to be some connection with some beings up there, ascended masters, or whatever they are.
You just connected to another man and put that in your head.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The voice in your head is just another man is ruling you. So see, it's only man to the experience. No matter what we are experiencing in the system, it's only a man to the experience. It's a man who told us about aliens. It's a man who told us about divine. It's a man who told us about afterlife. It's a man who told us about God. It's a man who told us about universes and galaxies and quantum physics and all that. It's only a man in your head. If you accept that man who is tied to these lies, you bring the whole of all of those lies with everything of the system of the life into your life, where you will have voices in your head because you've accepted other men and women defining your perception of reality. That's the only reason why they're in your head, because you still doubt who you are. You're still uncertain about what you are. And so you don't allow what already is, that's present to you all around you, right, to flood you. So we're the ones who created the box, created the walls, created the prisons, push it all out in the illusion of the pushing of it out, in the illusion of making the boxes, because there is no box. It's just a fantasy, right? Because when you accept someone defining God to you, it becomes your prison, where another man is ruling you, and that voice is the dominant power. But when you wake up, there is no other man coming into your life to rule you anymore. So when we work together to create what we call in the system, to break away from the system in the kingdom dream of the mudroom, we have to be aware of these voices in our head, so that we're not going to pass the baton on of these voices to the kids while we're building the kingdom domains of our communities. The whole idea is to use the system, but not for the glory of self and I and me and other men and women. It's to set us all free from being underneath each other in this life, as this life. So we are not having another man in our life providing order, providing us law, providing us with rules and regulations as govern the mind. When we stop allowing other men and women coming into our heads to influence us, we then have also stopped the uncertainty and the distrust being the dominant power over our vessel, over our life. If you follow that, so we work in the system to break away from the system's life, but we don't pass it on. So we're going to create a kingdom. What's what we're doing? We're creating a community of brothers and sisters. It all appears that we're going to bring the voices of all of those into and amongst us, but we're not. We're going to use the system, because everything's so deeply compromised, where we're not starting up more fires, more wars, more battles. We have to put out these small fires. We're just going to use the system and gift it freely back to the community of the land, where we can build a kingdom domain, where we build our kingdoms, so that every man, woman, and child of that kingdom, the hundreds of us, are not ruled by the voices inside their heads who need the religion, the philosophy, the law, but worst of all, the ego of that voice inside our head dominating us. Because that's all it is. Ego is just another man inside your head. Duality is just another man inside your head, right? The dark side is just another man inside your head. All the uncertainty, distrust is just another man inside your head. It's all it is. That's all it is. And that's why these occultists are always busy being inside your head, coming up with new revolutions so they can control all the outcomes all the time, so you don't wake up to this sinister agenda. Those few who are truly malevolent behind the scam. So if you get that, we should be busy waking up, going to bed, preoccupied, creating kingdom, where we don't pass the baton of the voices into our children's heads, the next generation to come, because we're all conscious of this, and we're all smart enough to realize we have to end it. Though we are all suffering from this and been badly damaged by it, we are strong enough to not let it be done to our kids or our grandchildren and all those who are part of that kingdom, right?
It's
And you
good
do it without
to
fear.
yeah. It's
You
good
do it without
to
fear.
nurture a dream of your own and this and that. Like I have a vision, but to have put my vision to life, I would love to have a big piece of land. If I go out tomorrow and start going around to find a piece of land, I will find that they are all owned by either big families or corporation, or there's very, very few pieces of land left that I can go and exploit that land and work that land. And everything is bought, everything is claimed. So where do I start?
Between the ears of another man, because all that you just described is just another man inside your head of a lot of men and women. Well, all this landlocking are just voices inside your head. And while you still doubt your power, you will allow all the control of all those to keep everything landlocked. If you want to break away, you wake up and you stop believing in all this power that these men and women have in your life. So you have to inspire other people by example. You have to be selfless and sacrifice so much of your life for the greater good of others. And in fact, it's a great healthy habit to have, because that's how things should be. We should be busy creating life and just gifting life, just like we breathe in and breathe out. Live like we breathe. We don't own the last breath, right? You don't hold on to it. It's mine. It's mine. It's my land title deed. It's my landlocked world. All these people out there controlling everything. It's all mine. My uncertainty, my fear, my distrust, my doubt. That's where it's all. So all this stuff that you're describing is still in your head. Their voices in your head. The power of them over you is still strong if you accept that, Johnny. You need to get bigger than, stronger than that. Not because I say so. So the one thing you do have that they don't have and they can't control is your real life. And if you are truly real, the sun that shines is so glorious and your selflessness is so powerful. And as you are interacting with other men and women, you're diminishing the power of the voices inside your head, because you're inspiring other people to stop the voices being inside their head, because it's only the voices inside our heads of all the men and women got into us that's formed the land title deed, that's formed the rule of law, that's formed the government, that's formed everything to be landlocked, that's formed everything to such a scale of weakness and hopelessness and confusion about what to do. It's not a contest where we have to take them on and fight them. We have to remember who we really are and be that and share that. And when you do that, you're not frightened of death. You're not frightened of what they're going to do to you. Who cares what they're going to do? It's not about what they're going to do. It's what we do. And if you know who you are, you don't die, regardless if they want to kill you and take your vessel. This goes back to the Colosseum and the Christians in the Colosseum. When you wake up, you're not the one dying. You're the great man up on the cross now. You're saying, I serve the dream of life. I live for the wholeness and the magnificence of all of us. You can keep torturing and crucifying this man's body. You can put crowns on my head. You can do whatever you like, but you're not going to kill me. You're the ones who are dying. You're the ones lost in the doubt and the confusion and the distrust and the fear that has you behave in these heartless, evil ways, sick ways. You're the ones who are lost. You're the ones who are clinging to other men and women, having all those voices inside your head. You are all the occultists with voices inside your head. You are it's sick. You truly are psychotic. You're gone. But he didn't sit there giving up because they were already given up. The great man, like we all are, shined that light. Life goes on. We don't die if we wake up. No matter what they've done to you, you can still wake up. You have free will. So
And the voice of the other man, you can find it everywhere. You find it on the news, on TV, in cinema, on music, everywhere. Like we're being bombarded by voices constantly.
Exactly, because when you wake up, Johnny, when you really wake up, when we wake up, we do not end at the surface of our skin. The consciousness is as big as we want to hold it, as the eagle can hold the horizon of everything of the dream of life. And that's where we are. Our consciousness is there and there and there and there and everywhere, because we are in the sense of life itself. We are that sense. So we don't worry about shutting down, worrying about, oh, they've got the land titles here, they've got that land lock, and poor me, and what can we do? And all, you know, they've got private corporations claiming this, the government's bringing all these laws. Just walk away from it all. Don't entertain it. Do what we have to do. Start working together with those of us who are fearless. Be the man on that cross, not the crucified man, broken, but the man who says, do whatever you like. We know who we are. We're going to get on and create life. And the more of us who do it, the more it breaks down. Because so many of these people who work for the voices inside their head will start to realize that they themselves are gone. And some of them will start withdrawing. And that's how Rome and Babylon collapsed. That's how it all collapsed, because they left it. They fled from the doubt, the fear, the confusion, the distrust. They started to sense the dark side that was ruling them. Because that's why they're in the lives of other men and women trying to control them. That's what David Icke is doing, what Max Igan is doing. All these, there's so many of them. You know, Mark Pazio, Michael Tallingen, Ubuntu is another scam.
London Real.
They're all system, because people involved in these herds cling to each other because they need each other. They've been driven by the dark side. But when you wake up, we don't cling to each other in the kingdom. We are the celebration of life. And we know who we are, and we just get on and live how tribes used to be before these invasions had on our ancestors had occurred. And that's all it is. So it's not about worrying about they're doing. You just get on and do it. If that's the dream you're holding, just get on with it. Live it. Start creating pot plants. We're doing it here. I'm buying all. It's just may sound insane. Even my wife doubts me half the time sometimes, when she wonders what the hell I'm doing. But what people don't get it is that, like, I'm buying system things, all kinds of things. Going back to some of the earlier videos when I was showing about what we're doing, all the money we're saving here on this rent-free situation where we're helping a woman who was told by doctors that she could die at any moment. So we came here on system land to help her by creating some gardens for her. And while we're here for a short period of time, we're rent-free. We just pay our share of electricity and whatever we're using. And where all the money we're saving, which is like 30, 40,000 a year, plus all the gifts that we're getting on top of it, is pouring into the off-grid rig. So like I bought a steel chainsaw, a battery-driven, solar-power-driven, because the steel systems, the later ones now, I can charge and charge and charge using solar power. So I bought them. Now I'm looking ahead. I'm buying all kinds of stuff, kitchen stuff, clothing stuff, helping with Fiona, buying all. So everything we as a group need, we've got. And when we use this gear, we're going to be so busy in the kingdom creating it, we haven't got time to sit there working hours and hours in the kitchen, hours and hours doing this and that. We want things to be able to be fast and efficient and quick, because we've got so much to do to cover so much ground in a short period of time, right? As everything's collapsing all around us. So we're not in fear of it. So the point is, the dream I'm holding is a much bigger dream that sets everyone free in the kingdom dream from being underneath each other. But I have everything in place as the bridge we walk across. So we have the steel chainsaw to help to chop up and create things, because none of us can't just pull away overnight and be living in paradise, because our bodies are too trained for system life. So we have to create dreams that allows us to transition as we're holding the bigger dream, let our body go through the, it's like a heroin addict going off heroin. You've got to go through cold turkey. We have to go through cold turkey. And there's a lot of cold turkey going to go on. And we don't want to play that out with each other. We just want to be able to be busy in our creativity. So, you know, we've got a camper trailer. We've got an extension awning. We've got tents. We're going to have in the next week or so, a couple of weeks, we're going to have like 12 300-watt solar panels. We're already having arriving this week, and have 10 120 ampere lithium batteries. We're going to have with another two I'm going to order. We're going to have 4 very powerful solar controllers. Now, all this stuff will be buried on the kingdom land, never to be reused down the line, because we don't live for this stuff. But we need it now to transition, because we don't know right now how to live exactly right now without a bit of electricity, a bit of fire, a bit of all these things that we need. See, so what I'm getting at, we can be very busy. Now, right now, I could say to you, no one's coming along and said, Arthur, here's the land. You see, the land's already there for me. It's already there. I don't need to worry about it. That's how I dreamed it. It's already there. So it appears, because I said so, how I hold it, as it's needed. So in the meantime, I do everything for the system to use it, to support the transition, that building the bridge to get out of the system. So
And
you understand that, hang on. What I'm trying to say is the biggest dream of this man is not the dark side that I'm nurturing. The biggest dream is the virtues, the good heart that I'm nurturing, even though it appears we're using so much of the dark side, as in chainsaws, whippersnippers, lawnmowers, all battery-powered ribbon. We may not have time to run around with scythes, because if there's only 10 or 15 or 20 of us or whatever, we might not have enough time to do all the work we've got to do to get the food forests up and running, get all these things going quickly, so that we can actually learn to detach and let go of these things as this life, in this life. See, so you nurture the real dream, and from the biggest picture of the real dream, you divert your whole life. You serve your whole life to that dream. So it looks on the surface to those in the system, they think, wow, he's crazy. He's obsessive. He's caught up. I mean, he's not. I'm just going, I plan for the worst, live for the best. That's how I do it. That's my part. I'm not saying anyone else should do that, but I plan for the worst, live for the best. So if half these things that I've accumulated through saving money and doing all these things, because we're in a rent-free situation, because I dreamt it that way. Everyone followed this man doing it. Not follow me as a leader, because they've got to learn to stand and do it themselves too. So as we all learn to stand, take responsibility for the greater dream, we carry the weight of all that together. We carry the weight, all the burdens of that together, if you want to call it a burden. But we're now in the nitty gritty, the dirt of what are we doing to get out of this. Well, that's what we do. But I buy all these things. Now, I'm out of the system. I don't own the steel chainsaw. I don't own all this money that's been coming in. It's not my money, because I'm out of the system. I don't have credit cards, bank cards, check account. I don't have Centrelink, Medicare. I don't have anything under the name. Nothing. For 15, 16 years now. So I'm selfless from the biggest picture for the greater good. Now, I use my life as an example, not for you to, oh, wow, look at Arthur, he's amazing. It's not about that. I'm just sharing what I'm doing. My part. That's it. I don't want anyone to sit there and remember me. I just want to do this because I don't want to live in this system anymore. I don't want to live like this. And as I said many times over the years, I'd like to end up in a hammock, sleeping for 6 months, knowing every time I wake up, there's no system around me, because everyone around me is free. Where at the moment, when I'm waking up, everyone around me are slaves. So I don't have that true freedom, that true peace and calm for the vessel. Even though I create it and hold it and I have it, it's still a war zone all around me. And if that war zone is still around me, in spite of the peace and calm that this man feels deep inside, I'm responsible to remove it, because it shouldn't be in the experience of this man's life. So I'm not in fantasy or illusion, delusion about that war zone, of all those voices inside our heads. So you confront it. That's why we do these videos, where we confront people. And when necessary, we confront people in the law, confront people in the courts, confront people in the political arena, confront the David Ikes and the Max who know us. We know them. We actually know them. They know us. For this reason.
When you were talking about transitioning to letting go of the system and sustaining your own dream of life, or what you want to call it, that part of transition could go on more than one generation. Do you agree? Like, take your example, at one point you're going to get to an age where you can do it no more. Well, you have children. Do you expect, or would you like your children to keep going with your dream, or to build their own dream out of the resources you're going to leave them? Like, is it an automatic that the generation that follows should take on after their parents to keep the dream alive?
Ask Fiona, because we raised 4 kids doing Love for Life for the last 15 years. We went from 4,000 a week income to maybe like 10,000 a week income. We were self-made. We had everything we needed. We worked hard for it. We've made a lot of mistakes. We had a lot of ego problems. This man had a lot of ego problems. You know, we went from being self-made in the system to walking away completely, and with Fiona carrying the weight of the whole family. She had 3 kids, being pregnant with a 4th on the way. This is 2005, 2006, 2007, right? To this man pulling out of the system completely. She's had to handle the whole thing, carry all the weight. Because I pulled out so I can actually calm down and contemplate, so I didn't have to wake up and worry about mortgages and leases, and I'm trying to work out what the hell's going on. Now, Fiona is a living example of what it is to do it in spite of, maybe back in 2005, mate, when people were so dead asleep. This is nothing compared to what it is today. We spent 15 years working together, one in, one out. One in the system, one out of the system, working together. We've taken on the law. We've done all kinds of stuff along the way. We've been through all kinds of battles with court cases and stuff, and people in tribunals trying to come at us and shut us down. The point is, she did it. She actually did it, and she's still doing it. She hasn't run away from me. And the madness of what people perceived that I was mad doing this, together we just knew, unless we do something and make that change and be that change by living it, they ain't going to be. So all the insights we share today is because of that commitment. All the insights that we share, which is vast now, wasn't there when we first broke away from the system, when we started doing this crazy stuff. So everything we needed, it's like the air, it's there for us to breathe. We don't have to jump 10 foot across the room to grab our next breath of air. It's already there when you need it. And if you don't operate out of the doubt and uncertainty, the confusion, distrust and fear, you do the extraordinary. And Fiona's a superpower when it comes to that. If you want to look at it in comparisons to women out there, she surpasses most women because she's got the balls and the guts to do the extraordinary, raising kids in the system with living with a man like me doing what I'm doing, and she's kept it together. That's not here to put praise on her and make it better. We all can do it, but have you got the balls and the guts to do it? Are you prepared to go all the way and do it and be seen to be doing it without carrying all the dark side with us and sitting there adorning it and operating out of it? So as we were doing all these 15 years of Love for Life, we kept looking at the scrutiny Fiona talks about. She kept questioning and challenging. She would go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and even up to recent, up and down with this shit that's been plaguing her as a womb man in the system, and seeing the complicity of the dark side that she's nurturing. But I've been doing it too. It hasn't stopped us. And yet we have this, we're huge wisdom keepers now. We're traditional elders now. Not because we want to be. It's the responsibility to break away from the system and not pass this on to the next generation. And that's what we're driven from, that bigger picture. We don't want our names to be remembered. We don't want to sit there and be glorified. We just don't want to live in it. We don't have anything to do with it. So we're doing everything we can with what we've got. So, I could have gone back to my networks and asked people for money. I never did. I said to Fiona, when I made that big change, and I had those epiphanies back in beginning 2006, early 2006, when we had all those huge epiphanies that really just affected me in a big way, I said to Fee, everything we need will come if we say so. I'm not going to live in fear about it. I'm just going to be it. I'm just going to live the dream that I say I'm going to hold. So that's terrifying to the people in the system, because now I can't be controlled and ruled by them. I have a brain that's working, and I can come back to them and ask them questions no matter what the situations are. The only way they could shut me down, and they'd have to drug me. They'd have to shoot me. They'd have to kill my body. They'd have to disempower me, bash the body up, torture the shit out until there's nothing can come out of the mouth. And even then, there'll be something still coming out of me somewhere, speaking what I am, because they'd have to kill me to stop me. But what I'm getting at, we are the living example of this very thing you're talking about. We don't sit here just talking. We're doing it. And the reason we're doing it is we got to see everyone around us was lost. And we saw that we were the problem. We are the problem. I was the problem. When I woke up, I was the problem. And then I had to realize all the practicing at 24/7 of living system lives, living out of doubt, uncertainty, fear, distrust. We had to come to it. We had to practice it and practice it and practice it. And so this unfolding of these last 15 years, creating the Food Forest Garden, East Barrel, and going through what happened with that, and now living in a camper trailer on a woman's property, rent free. Everything that happened was from the dreams of what this man dreamt for. And if I didn't hold the dreams, then nothing would have happened because there was no one else holding that dream. So now Fiona's holding the dream. If something happened to me, she'll carry on because she can hold that dream. Not in my legacy, but in her dream. She's worked that one out for herself. Even with a strong dude like me in her life, strong character. So if we do this, it's like the old motto: if you look after the sense look after the dollars. You look after the basic stuff and you hold the big dream, the biggest dream, everything comes to you. People come and give you land. People come and give you money. People can give you everything because it comes from the good heart. And that was the decision this man made. I refuse to operate in the system on begging or anything anymore. Anything that happens will come from the good heart of others and gift it to the dream this man lives for, without even comprehending the scale at that time of what became the kingdom dream and the love for life dream as the years unfolded, as we search deeper into the dark side of emotion and realize why our ancestors could never break away generation after generation. Why is it like this? So Johnny, you just do it. You just do it.
Just do it.
You just do it.
That's it. That's the
do
message tonight.
Just do it. You're not answerable to anybody. Don't care what anyone else thinks about you.
Yeah.
You don't care about anybody. Don't care if they accuse you you're a cult leader or you're part of the cult, because the people of the dark side, the people who are behind the system, they have all their lackeys and plants in the music industry, in the film industry. They have them everywhere. And they will lie behind their back and they will manipulate people and say, "Oh, don't trust him. He's one of them. He's like that." This is how it works. This all comes with the territory. You don't worry about what they're doing. It's what you do. What you do.
Do it.
All right. Even if no matter, hang on a sec. Even if we are so effed up, if our vessels so damaged, this vessel's so damaged, you just do it. You do it till you go to the grave, because there's nothing else to live for. Sorry, I don't.
Exactly.
We made.
Thanks,
She hasn't said much today. I just sort of went bang, but look,
it's okay. We listen.
Mm-hmm.
We made 2 videos over the last, when we hadn't done anything with you. We made 2 videos, which we're going to put up. They're not part of the duality cult of herbs, but I would really encourage you to have a look at those 2 videos, because it gets into a lot of the nitty gritty of some of these things about voices in our head. But I will upload them to the YouTube channel as well, and you'll find them. And I'll mention in that. So be aware of that. That it's we really are threatened for years. I was just trying to say that. What I was trying to say is that for years I've been threatened to say, "This is enough. I don't want to do anymore. This is it now. I'm down to maybe one more video, Johnny. Maybe next week is the last one we do together. I don't want to go and do any more videos anymore, mate. There's no more. There's nothing more we can say. It's just a matter of what we do and get busy. And because people sitting and watching our videos is not going to change their life. But people are sincere and want to find some jewel and inspire them. Maybe it might help them to do something with their life, wherever you may be. Or whether you want to work with us and come and do it with us here. But that's what it's going to come down to. There's no one out there to rescue you from this thing. Watch out for the voices in your head. Don't let other men and women get in your head and tell you that's freedom, that's conscience, that's truth.
That's it. Watch for the voice in your head. Make sure it's your own. And we're out. See ya.